Hello and welcome to the MHR podcast. I'm Andy.
I'm Alice.
Alice, right. It is an important day this week. We're going to go out a day early on the podcast because we are celebrating World Mental Health Awareness Day.
So this is the day that happens every year on the 10th, isn't it? 10th?
We've celebrated it for the last 2 years, actually, yeah. So
2 years.
This is our annual update on World Mental Health Awareness Day.
Very important day.
We've got to keep talking about it, which was the theme for a number of years, right? It's better to talk and invite conversations about mental health. So that's what I thought we could do this week.
Lovely. So if there's a theme then, what is the theme?
So I had a good old look around. So it's been promoted quite well. So I went onto the mentalhealth.org.uk website. So that's the Mental Health Foundation. And they've highlighted that the theme for this year's Mental Health Day 2024 is workplace mental health. Right. How more appropriate could that be for our podcast?
That is perfect for our podcast.
Exactly. So we can talk about mental health in the workplace.
Wonderful. We could not be more on theme.
Yeah. So the theme highlights the importance of addressing mental health and well-being in the workplace for the benefit of people, organisations and communities. It is the 10th of October. So hopefully you're listening to this or watching this on the 10th of October as it goes out. But as we always say, mental health should be talked about all year. But it's great that we have a day to highlight this and look at what businesses can do to support mental health. Yeah,
definitely. So I know that World Mental Health Day, they tend to have kind of different campaigns running, don't they? So underneath this theme, which is this year, like you said, workplace mental health, there's kind of different initiatives that go on. So like I say, we always want to encourage people to talk, and I'm sure that every year people can relate to bake-offs happening or tea parties or that sort of thing. And this year, it's interesting, it's workplace mental health, because I feel like everyone can get involved. If you're listening to this podcast, hopefully you can walk away with a few ideas, maybe.
Yeah, well, actually, it's really good if you are a business and you want to engage with like mental health support, because if you go on the World Health website, they give a lot of initiatives of what you can do. Like they're having like a tea and talk session, which you can bring into your workplace. They bring loads of packs, posters, kind of social media assets that you can adopt as a business so you can address the message yourself. It's about enabling you to talk about it. So it's not like a huge effort. It's just something everyone can do. But there are some interesting stats on the website. I mean, they talk that 50% of UK workers are estimated to have an existing mental health condition.
Right.
875,000 workers suffer from work-related stress, depression and anxiety in the years 2022-23. And a fifth of the most common reasons for sickness and absence since 2022 were mental health related.
I see.
So there's an impact to business here.
Yeah,
and individuals equally.
Definitely. So when it comes to World Mental Health Day, like you say, we want to encourage people to talk. So hopefully by encouraging people to talk is that we can bring down these stats, can't we?
Yep.
Or at least I think to make people feel more supported. I think that's what ultimately everyone wants to do, especially in a workplace. You want to cultivate a culture that encourages people where they feel supported, they feel like they can reach out if they are in a time of need, and essentially kind of have that conversation. So is there an idea then of how we could be encouraging to talk about well-being and mental health in the workplace? Yeah,
so I did a bit of looking around, and we've talked about it before on the podcast. We have a mental health awareness guide, right? A mental health in the workplace guide, which you can download from our website, and we'll share with all of this. But a lot of organisations are saying the same, which is encouraging. It's the first step is, if you're going to look at mental health, is you've got to create a supportive culture around it. So you've got to normalise conversations about mental health. You've got to encourage an open dialogue about mental health. You've got to reduce the stigma of talking about mental health or kind of the impression that gives you as an employer or individual. So when employees feel comfortable discussing their mental health issues, they're more likely to seek help. So you have to welcome and to develop that open environment. And that can come through leadership and managers as well. So leaders, managers should model healthy behaviours to show that mental well-being is and addressing that is encouraged across the business throughout. So fostering a culture that values emotional health is it allows people to adopt that dialogue and enter into that dialogue. So it is very much, there's a top-down responsibility there as well.
Yeah, because I was going to say it's fair enough to say that your culture is positive towards well-being and supportive of mental health. But my question to you, which I feel like you've already covered then, is how do you know that it is actively kind of building a culture that is more positive? And like you say, if it's a top-down approach, it's almost the responsibility of your managers to feel like they can have those conversations. It's the responsibility of HR to know that they're trained up to have those conversations. So like you say, it's making sure that you're not just saying or thinking that the culture, but actually there are practices within the workplace that support people being able to talk about their mental health.
We see it all the time in all ranges of work, though, isn't it? If you have a manager that feels uncomfortable with one topic, or has a particular mannerism or whatever, that can breed into a team, and the team kind of reflect that behaviour because that's what they're looking at to. So if you have a manager that feels comfortable talking about mental health or addressing it or having those conversations, the team are going to feel included to do that. So there is influence there.
Definitely. There must be, sorry, I feel like I've just cut you off there.
No, it's all right.
But I was going to say, when we talk about mental health, we always, I feel like, go towards the side of having to support if someone needs it. But isn't there a flip side possibly where mental health is, you can be encouraged to celebrate others, so to share successes, or, you know, to kind of encourage more of a positive culture that way, where you feel more of a team?
Yeah, you must be able to. So I think, and when we look at it a lot, we talk about it with, like, you know, what platforms are you using, or what kind of internal communications, or what process do you have in a business where you're celebrating people's work? Because recognizing that, you know, we talk about burnout a lot, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about it in guides. We've got loads of blogs. There's loads of resources about burnout or stress on our website. But we talk about the fact that when people don't feel like they're recognized, or they feel like their work's having an impact, or they don't feel like they've got good direction, they feel burnt out. And you can combat that proactively before. Mental health isn't just going, you're burnt out, how do you make you feel better?
Yeah.
It's about going, how do we create a sustainable environment of work that reduces the risk of you feeling burnt out, or a better positive culture that makes you feel supported and engaged and excited about going to work? And a lot of that is about recognition.
Yeah.
Like how do you create a culture of recognition about people's work in the workplace? How do you celebrate your wins, communicate your wins? How do you allow people to acknowledge work that other people have done and celebrate that? That can come across, like, you know, we use people first, and that does that. That actually has a recognitions feature.
And that's company wide as well. It shouldn't just be in your team or your department. I feel like other departments should see the success, because we all work together ultimately. We're one big team, aren't we?
Yeah, and there's sometimes there's nothing more better than that, because it's you kind of want to go when you have a check-in with your manager and go, please, could you recognise that I've had a good job? It's great to hear it from you. But when someone you work with on the other side of the business, which isn't connected to him at all, recognises the work that you're doing, it makes you feel even better, because your work and the impact's gone further away from you, and that's been recognised. Because it's then your manager sees it, then the rest of your team see it. So I do think that's a really healthy thing, and we use that in recognition of people first. It helps. Yeah. But, like, I think having that social culture and having that connectivity and that communication embedded into your HR processes, or the way that your company communicates and operates, is how you have a better collective celebrationary voice, right? Yeah. And that's about embedding that culture. Yeah. So I think that's where, like, stuff like People First and, like, technology that we look at helps. But you need the people there infused about it in the first place to do that. Yeah. And I think to help get that, like, I was looking at some other points here about training and education. Right. So in order for people to celebrate wins and success, or to address mental health or be proactive, they first need training and education. So mental health training, you can do that by providing managers and employees with, you know, by recognising the signs of mental distress, anxiety and depression, so they can take steps towards that, and to understand how to respond appropriately. You also need awareness campaigns, like we're talking about right now. Yep. How do you communicate across the business that regular mental health awareness activities need to be done, that you can inform employees and give them available resources to help understand the environment they work in and how to address stress signals in that space? That's an internal training opportunity as well, I think. Yeah,
and now you made a key point there that it's regular.
Yeah.
That, you know, even though it's World Mental Health Day today, that, yes, we're spreading awareness on this one point of the year, but we should be doing every single day and make sure that training is done on a regular basis. So it could be an annual, it could be 6 monthly, but, you know, our learnings about mental health and well-being are changing as we learn more. So I think it's really key that we are making that regular. There must be something about, because we spoke there about you know, okay, training's one option, and you also mentioned about how the social aspect in the workplace can also help contribute. But is there anything, I guess, kind of when we think about the workplace, it's quite a physical thing as well?
Yeah. Well, yeah, physical workplace is important. So we talk about it in our wellbeing guides as well. We were saying about, we talk about mental wellbeing or emotional wellbeing, but there are many forms, right? Physical being one of them. So a workplace needs to be designed around the needs of an organisation. If you don't have something that's physically appropriate, that causes stress and actually it also puts people at risk, right? So the physical environment can impact mental health, ensuring good lighting, comfortable seating. These things sound simple, right? But access to quiet spaces that contribute to a healthy work environment are important, and they all need to be factored in. If your company's drastically growing and all of a sudden you're on top of each other and you don't feel like you can focus, that can be stressful. It can lead to a lot. It can amplify what some already external situations or internal situations that are leading towards mental health issues. All right. Ergonomics and safety, of course. If you haven't got actual things in place that actually support your physical well-being in the workplace, such as poor ergonomics or a stressful physical workplace, that can negatively impact mental health. So an environment that promotes comfort and well-being to help reduce workplace stress is important as well. So there are lots of things, even if like your chair isn't appropriate. I know we all joke about like, health and safety with chair and back support and lumbar support, but these are important.
It is. If you end up in pain, I tell you what, back pain.
I'm
only 25, but I've had back pain.
How many hours of your life do you spend at work? Now, whether that's standing with your job, whether it's sitting with your job, or if it's traveling and moving with your job, if you're not provide stuff that actually helps your body deal with that sustainably, you're being put under stress. Physical stress can lead to mental stress very easily.
Absolutely,
We all know that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So physical stuff is important. There's also a peer thing that I thought was quite interesting. Peer support. Yes, it's great having that voice from the managers, but sometimes relationships with managers are very different. You don't know how to do it. Having peers in your organisation, employees that you can find it easier to have open conversations with, that you don't feel like you're being judged from a performance point of view, is really important. So providing a peer network can provide emotional support and practical advice without feeling like you're being judged for your level of job. This is where you can have ambassadors across the business that are your friends or peers at a similar level, or confidential employee mental health advisors are really helpful, a scheme that a lot of organisations have.
Well, there'll be some people where they might have had a personal experience and would be quite happy to share it and to support someone going through it. So I think it definitely would be a good addition for workplaces if they haven't got those people around the business yet, that they can indicate them. Obviously quite hard to indicate because I'm sure that there's bit of details, personal information that you can't, root down. But I think if you opened up, if you opened it up to the business, say, is there anyone that would be quite happy to support X topic, then someone you never know might be able to, to put the hand up.
And it's recognising that, we've said it before, a lot of the time dealing with mental health issues, if you're feeling like you're experiencing them, is about being able to talk about them and feel safe and secure to have that conversation.
For sure.
Naturally, you're going to be worried about going to a manager and feeling vulnerable in front of them because you might think that reflects on your performance. It might not be related in any way at all. So you want to remove that stigma. So who can you talk to that's maybe neutral in that scenario that can support your well-being in the workplace? And that might be someone independent from that.
Yeah. I'd also hope that for managers, that it's known that it wouldn't impact their performance.
Yeah. If anything, addressing mental health is actually a sign that they're actually performing well and that they're open to have this conversation. That's a really productive, healthy conversation.
And that they care about.
Exactly. Yeah. Mentoring is also an interesting point. So on the flip side, if you have an employee that's striving to perform really well and they want to grow in the business, providing them a route to communicate with maybe more senior members of the team to feel like they're advancing and growing is really good for mental health because it shows positivity and it shows direction. Some people feel very stressed about the fact that they may not be moving anymore or growing with their job. That can be very isolating. So actually having mentoring schemes can support people to navigate challenges in the business as they mature through their experience, right?
I see.
It's like, I've been here longer and I've understood that these challenges and this is how I deal with them. So how can I help you through those problems through my shared experience? It's a really healthy way of kind of a knowledge exchange, but also helping people develop at the same time.
Yeah, and then I think there's as well, it's really key that you're keeping those people in the business because, like you say, they've got the knowledge, they know how the business works, and I think they're quite key personnel to keep and have that loyalty built as well.
So there's lots we could talk about. To be honest, I would point us back to the guide that we released earlier this year, which is our Mental Health at Work guide, because I think...
Is that the title of it?
Yeah, it's our Mental Health at Work guide. It's available in our Knowledge Hub. but we talk a lot about being more empathetic in a workplace, which goes back to that company culture and having an open conversation. We talk about why business mental health in the business is an issue to the business. We provide some stats to that. So like we've heard earlier, but we recognise that the UK loses 12.8 million working days a year due to mental health related stress. Mental health costs businesses in the UK alone up to 8 billion annually, and addressing mental health in the workplace increases productivity for a business by 12%. So these are the kind of things that businesses, I think, should look at, should absorb, and then use to create arguments for how they can generate more mental health incentives in the workplace.
Definitely. Why ultimately it's important that we talk about it, not just today, that we're doing something every single day.
Exactly.
To create that.
So whether you're doing surveys to find out how your employees feel, whether it's about creating a culture of open and honesty, it's whether about putting in mental health first aiders or offering independent support. The strategies are there. We've got some support in our guides, but I do hope that all of us take the day as an opportunity to talk about mental health.
Yeah.
I also hope we continue that conversation all year. And if you want to find out about more what we do, there is a wealth of support out there on our website to help businesses have those proactive conversations.
Definitely. Well, I hope you learnt more about World Mental Health Day and the theme this year, which is wellbeing in the workplace.
Yeah, I hope your wellbeing in the workplace has improved as a point of watching this. If it hasn't, I'm sorry.
We tried.
Yeah, we'll see you next week though.
Bye-bye.